One of the things that students run into as they develop their pages is they often don't indent, and I'll see everything flattened like this. I can kind of show you. And when you see your code like this, it's a little bit more difficult to see where elements start and stop. And so when students come to me and they have a problem, the first thing I always do is have them go through and indent out their code. Now, not everything has to be indented. Like these menu items, you can see these are all on one line, and I have an opening and another opening and about and a closing and closing. But they're small enough it's really easy to kind of visualize where something is opening and closing. And these inline elements here where I'm using a bold and italics and different things, I didn't break them down and indent those. But main structural elements like my article, my main tags, my nav tags, my unordered list, you can see those are all indented in. And typically inside your editor, you can just use the tab key to tab something over or tab something back. To tab back, you just hold down Shift and hit Tab, and it'll push it backwards, or Tab to kind of push it forward. And it's just a simple way to kind of indent what you're doing. But to check that your code is right, and it doesn't mean that you've completed everything correctly or that it's exactly the way it should look, but if you want to check to see if you have clean code, I guess you could say, what you want to do is go out to Google, type out HTML validator, and go ahead and click on the validator.w3.org, okay? And from here, if you've uploaded your code to your hosting site, you can type out, let's put in google.com right there, and they're going to fail, I know that. But I can do that. Actually, it's not even coming up. But you could type out your domain name, whatever that is, and it would try to validate it that way. Or you can also do a file upload or do a direct input. And let's do a direct input just for the sake of simplicity. And I'm going to put that in there. And you can see I have all of my code, and I'm going to hit check. And it should come back and show, okay, so I've got an article lacks a heading. And so it wants to have a heading, an H1 tag inside of that. So I'm just going to take those out so I don't get a warning. I'm going to save that, highlight everything, go back, put that all in, and check it again. And you can see that this has completed with no errors or warnings. Now, if I do take out a tag, like let's say I take out this bold tag, you should hopefully visibly be able to see. You can see where I didn't end that bold tag, so everything got bolded. But I'm going to highlight all of that, go back, paste that in, knowing that I've got an issue, and check that. And you can see that I was given numerous errors, okay? And the way you want to deal with these is start at the top and work your way down. Because often if you have one problem, it will solve problems of the others. And so I'm going to look on line 22 in here, and it says on line 22, it can see an end tag piece scene, but there were open elements. So you can see that there's a paragraph tag on line 22, and this is all line 22. But there's still elements inside of it that are open, and that's our open bold tag. And then line number 2 here, it shows, oh, you've got an unclosed element bold. And then underneath here it says that I'm not allowed to have this instead of sidebar and some other problems. But what you want to do is you want to start working your way from top to bottom, and it'll help you kind of hone in on where the problem lays. And so I'll go through and I'll put that bold tag back in, highlight everything, change that, and check it. And as students turn in their homework, I'm going to make sure that I validate every single piece of code that they do. And it's just a really easy way for me to check if students are doing and writing clean code. Another thing that you can do if you'd like, another extension that I use quite a bit, I really wanted an extension that did this, so I made one, Validator Plus, and you guys can go look that up. And this is one that I put together, and you can look at it and you can add it to Chrome, and it will bring a little Chrome extension up at the top. And this is really handy, so if you're out visiting a web page and you want to check to see if it's valid, you can just run the page, click the icon here, and it will pull the HTML validation. You can see on Dixie.edu they've got a bunch of warnings and some errors that they need to fix there. But again, really simple way to quickly check CSS and HTML validation, and we'll talk about CSS validation a little bit more later on, but it really saves you a lot of time finding those problems, and everybody in the class really needs to do this moving forward.